This is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We are up here in Gold Country around Barkerville in northern British Columbia. And there's two communities up here. One is Barkerville, the historic town, the big place where a lot of the gold was centered. But right next to Barkerville is another community called Wells. Wells is only a couple of kilometers from Barkerville, just from Vancouver. Just head north on Highway 97 to Quesnel and turn east. Wells has a story too. They found gold a little bit later there, a few decades later. But in this video, let's take a look at the little community of Wells. We are on the highway through town. By these painted buildings, you can see it is designed for tourists. A lot of old things in the town. Nice design here. There is an arts community in Wells. Look how this building is painted up. I like the old green truck. It is a tourist-oriented place. You can buy little gifts and so on. You can get gas also. And at the gas pump, I like this sign. We can fix stupid on the bottom there. You can get some basic repairs. When they say they can fix stupid, I hope they are talking about you and not me. This building is the curling rink. There has been a lot of curling and good times at the rink since 1936. Here is another building in town, the Jack of Clubs pub. She burned to the ground in 94, but was rebuilt and is a fine watering hole today. The other main building on Main Street is the Wells Hotel. And it is a grand place, worth a unique stay. But the building we're looking for is that white theater down the street. So we'll just drive on down in that direction. More of the buildings, kind of unique historic buildings. But let's get to the theater. That's where things are rocking. Entertainers here also entertain at Barkerville. Whoa, we're in the dark. Lights out. No power. We're back. Woohoo! Okay, that's enough of that. We don't want to have too much fun. We want to learn something too. And I'll tell you, a place to learn something about a community is stop by their little museum if they have one. And Wells has a good one. If you want a broader and a deeper perspective of a community, try to stop in at the local museum if they have one. And Damon took us, who works at the museum here, he took us through the museum, and it was really a fine tour. It gives you a better understanding of the community. And he explained the difference between, over the years, the difference between the Jack of Clubs bar and the Wells Hotel.
There was the Wells Hotel bar, which was typically frequented by an out group, whether it was the hippies that came up in the 70s, the loggers when the town was dominated by Caribou Gold Quartz, or the employees of the Island Mountain Mine before Caribou Gold Quartz purchased it. Now this bar, the Jack of Clubs, was always for the in group, whether that was the citizens of Wells or the employees of the Caribou Gold Courts.
Pardon me, Damon, but that animosity that you talk about between the Jack of Clubs drinkers and those drinking in the Wells Hotel, that's not unique to Wells. I have seen that happen in other communities where you have sudden change and many newcomers coming into town. Sometimes it seems like the old-time residents feel overwhelmed by all the new people in town. Depending on whether you're a newcomer or an old-timer, you better be choosy on who you drink with and where you drink. And that happened in Wells. But over time, the newcomers become the old-timers. And Wells has gone through that, and it's a nice tourist town today. And the Jack of Clubs is still alive and well.
This sign hung outside the hotel until 1980. So I'll get you to come with me over here. So this wall was Wells Today when the exhibit was created in 1980. Since then, a lot of these people have since passed on. But a lot of the older folks on here especially were incredibly storied individuals. Blanchette Armstrong there, the little old lady, she actually ran the brothel in town. She was the madame of the town, and legend used to have it.
Older, innocent-looking lady ran the brothel in town.
You better believe it.
You never know. Okay.
So legend has it that the miners in town, they would come out of the mine still caked in quartz dust, and they'd trek across town, across the swamp, just to the east of town, and they'd go into the bar, or the brothel, as they were. I hope she paid her girls well, because, yeah. This man here, Lucky Swede, you ask anyone in Wells that met him, you'd get 101 different stories, and you'd never hear the same story twice.
Which guy is this?
This guy right here.
Okay.
He was a Norwegian miner who immigrated here in the early 1940s, I believe. Got the nickname Lucky Swede because he was walking down Pulley Street, the main street in town one day. Kicks a rock, bends down to see what he stubbed his toe on. It's a chunk of gold so big you can't pick it up with one hand. So being the good alcoholic that he is, takes it to the gold commissioner, and he's buying drinks for the town for the rest of the week at the Jack of Clubs.
Okay, yeah.
Now, he was also the first artist in Wells. He started the artistic tradition here by painting 3 murals inside the Jack of Clubs bar, which until today we had no records of, but thankfully the family that owned it came through.
And the Jack of Clubs was demolished. It didn't burn down.
Oh, it did burn down.
Oh, it did burn down.
Yep.
Okay.
It was a fire that started, I don't know if we know where it started, but
Yeah.
it spread very quickly. Almost killed a couple of the people that owned the bar, actually, because they lived there.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Terrible day.
That's the story of these early towns, fires.
Oh,
really.
like you wouldn't
they
believe.
Have all experienced them. Yep.
So, I'll get you to follow me into here. We have a huge assortment of goods from the Island Mountain mine. These would have been the 2 crucibles that they poured the macerated gold, or they poured gold bricks with. Now, the first gold brick in town was created by the Caribou Gold Quartz Company, and the stories go that the owner, Fred Wells, brought the brick into the center of town and challenged anyone in town that if they could lift it with one hand, they got to walk off with the brick. Now, the brick weighed 86 kilograms, so nobody even got close, but everyone in town tried. And that would have been worth, back then, a brick of gold probably would have gone for, well, that would have been $10,000 back then, roughly.
So they made the bricks right here in Wells?
Sure did.
They melted them down?
They had processing mills here, and they had forges.
So the gold would have been pure gold in these bricks?
Yep.
So they could take out the impurities, the whole process?
Yep. Back here, they were early enough in history that they did the maceration process. They just poured it into these huge grinding wheels, crushed the rock and the gold equally, and then they would pour the gold powder into these crucibles and convert it into solid gold.
Okay.
Now, in more modern times, they have swapped to using mercury or even cyanide to extract gold, but back then it was a lot simpler and a lot cheaper.
Okay, yeah.
Of course, the maceration process wasn't perfect and you'd get large amounts of rocks in your gold, but
Yeah.
you know, it's what they had at the time, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So over here, this beautiful pump bellows organ was formerly used by the United Church. It was donated to the museum after he retired, I believed. It stayed in the family from the 50s to sometime in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, come over here. This is a vintage piece. I don't believe that you can get an organ like this anymore. Beautiful ivory keys.
Does it make a sound?
Not anymore. We've decommissioned it to keep it in shape.
Okay. I read where these organs replaced the old hurdy-gurdy musical instruments that the hurdy-gurdy girls dance to.
Oh.
Those kind of violins that had a crank on them. They were popular in churches, but they were eventually replaced by an organ like this one here.
I believe that would have happened before Wells was founded, actually. Wells was founded in the
In
30s.
the early days, of the Barkerville story. Yeah.
Now, Barkerville, of course, there were absolutely hurdy girls here. You can, anywhere you go, you'll find stories about them in this area.
Yeah, right.
So over here, we have some preserved core samples from the Island Mountain Mine. This one here, you'll note the band of quartz in it, and then that is solid gold. This would have been a huge payload for the mining company.
Okay.
Now, this one here, I don't know if the camera will be able to pick it up, but in the right light, you'll see the silver in this rock glinting.
Is that the light colored stuff?
Partially. Right at the top here, you'll see a tiny nugget of steel or silver just under my fingernail.
Okay.
And then another one right there, just below my fingernail.
Okay.
Silver was much less common in this area. It was only really mined on accident.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then here, you'll have a huge amount of copper, actually. Wherever there's gold, there's also copper and iron.
I see. So the brown is copper.
Yep.
But of course, everybody paid less attention to this stuff. Everybody wanted the gold.
Oh,
I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't care at all about copper back then. Well, nowadays they could make an easy fortune just mining copper here. Now, wherever there's silver, there's also element number 23 here, which is galena. That's a lead ore, and it made mining in this area incredibly dangerous. Because if you blew up the wrong rock and you aerolized lead, then that would kill you very, very quickly. Or if you handled galena without knowing what it was.
What would kill you? Would it be the fumes from the explosion, or?
So lead actually can poison you just anytime it touches your skin. It poisons you, and inhaling the fumes would just rapidly speed up the process. But even just handling that without proper gloves will also poison you.
Is that right? Is that right?
Oh yeah.
I guess that's where the word lead poisoning is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, over here, I've got an old ArcLight movie camera. This one was from 1902. So if you look very closely in here, you'll see two parallel metal rods. They shot massive amounts of voltage through them. And then this model doesn't have it, but over here there was a single rod. The electricity arced, producing huge amounts of light, which was then focused by the reflector here to shoot the film onto the wall. Now these guys...
And that projected an image on the wall.
Yep.
One of the early movie-making machines.
Totally. Now these shot on 35mm Accutane film, which, if you know, is incredibly dangerous. It was banned on all forms of public transport in North America.
What kind of film?
35mm Accutane film.
Oh, is that right?
So the stories go that if you lit a cigarette next to the projection room, you'd burn the movie theater down. It was so volatile.
Oh, okay. Is that right? Well, I remember 35mm, but I guess it wasn't.
They learned
the
very
same
quickly.
Yeah.
So over here, this perfectly embodies the spirit of Wells to me. You've got the just mining past, the industrial past that the town was founded on, repurposed into an artistic project. So all of these drill bits actually corresponded to a certain diameter of dynamite they used for blasting here. And then you'll note on the top of most of them, they have little holes in them for shooting pressurized water through.
Okay.
The water stopped the bits from getting obstructed by loose rock, and it also prevented these early low-quality cast iron bits from just melting in operation. Eventually, the cast iron was replaced by these far nicer, more durable steel bits, but
Okay.
for a long time, cast iron was all they could do here.
Of course, at first when I saw this board, I thought it was a form of a chess set.
It is. You'll see here we have like king, and then this one dates it. They call it a tower instead of a rook.
Okay.
A lot of these pieces are marked, and then this one is a rook, and then that one's a tower. That's
So
interesting.
did they actually play a game on this board?
It's not impossible. I'm guessing a lot of these would have been worn down drill bits that were due to be thrown out.
Yeah.
And then a miner got bored one day and put it together. Of course, that's not in the record. That's just my guess, but
It's those stories that really tell the character of a town. So we are going to the medical room next. Okay.
so on our way, we'll pass through a bunch of cabinets here. The one on the right contains a large amount of surveying equipment for the town, including the original scope used by Fred Wells for whatever it was they did back then.
Which one was that?
That would be the telescope-looking thing with the adjustment wheel on the side.
Now, what did he use? Was he surveying out parts of the town? So
Sure was.
He was a bit of a surveyor.
Surveyor, yep. He also did a lot of the prospecting out here.
Okay.
He did double duty, Fred Wells did, when he was setting up the town.
Okay. But we're talking about when the town got started, and that's what that. Okay.
So over here, we have a huge amount of locally produced sports memorabilia. All of the trophies in the town were actually made with silver extracted from the area. It was
Were they? They were locally made silver.
Yep.
Produced these
So
trophies.
the mining companies, it used to be a point of pride for them to sponsor their own sports teams and create, try to one-up each other, creating increasingly nicer trophies. And it was the huge point of pride if your team won your amazing looking cup.
I see. Well, they had curling, and of course they had ice skating, hockey. I see by the stuff here.
At one point, this town had horse racing, badminton, golf. They had there, of course, an indoor curling rink, and then they actually had a ski hill where in 1938 or 9, I believe, a world record was actually set by a ski jumper during a tournament.
We passed a ski hill on the way into Wells.
So that would be Troll Ski Hill, and that's actually a newer one, I believe.
It's a more recent one. Okay. Okay.
Originally, there was the Caribou Gold Court Ski Hill.
Oh yeah. That would have gone back to what kind of dates?
That ran, I believe, from the late 30s, somewhere around 38, and then
Okay,
it closed in 1962.
Yeah. So it all wasn't hard work and mining. There was
No.
a little bit of recreation going on.
So this town actually really sprung to life during the Great Depression, and in no uncertain terms, the Great Depression was the best thing that could have happened to this town.
Well, why is that?
So you had huge influxes of people that were just desperate for a better life, desperate for work, desperate for change. And this town just represented steady, reliable work that was well paying. And of course, Fred Wells put a huge amount of money into making this an attractive place to live.
So the Depression was kind of a boom era for the town.
Totally. At its peak, this town had 4,500 residents. And
Is that right?
when the rest of the country was choosing if they wanted to freeze or starve, people in this town were choosing if they wanted a new car or a new radio.
What is bad for one person is good for another.
Oh.
Isn't that the story?
Ain't it just?
Yeah.
So, I'll get
Okay,
you to
we're
come
going
with
into the
me.
medical room now.
So, a lot of this stuff is going to look really grim at first, and some of it was. I mean, all of the surgical equipment on the x-ray bench there was actually used by the Caribou Gold Quartz Hospital, including the surgical forks, which were just nasty, nasty pieces of equipment. Now, the X-ray there was an old General Electric's X-ray. That would have been one of the earliest models, I believe. And this, of course, was very dangerous when it was in use. The lead shield there was more for peace of mind than anything.
Okay, it wasn't that effective.
No. Many X-ray technicians back in the day did end up with, health issues or even dying from the exposure to X-rays.
Because those technicians, of course, they would be continually exposed.
And I don't
each day of work.
I don't believe Madame Curie would have passed yet, so the dangers of radiation weren't really known.
Oh, okay, is that right? Mm-hmm.
Now over here we have a barbaric looking dental chair that was installed in the community hall, and they had a traveling dentist come out to visit once a month or once a season. The dentist, the stories go, used to stop in Quesnel and he would buy the cheapest bottle of whiskey he could because painkillers just weren't available out here. Now, it might be hard to believe, but that there was actually a luxury dental chair because it had an electric powered motor instead of a hand crank for the drill. So it was excruciatingly painful instead of just frankly unbearable.
We just take the good life as a granted kind of a thing.
Oh.
And just forget about the pains and the discomforts that people have had to go through in the past.
Working here is really...
So returning to the good old days, you look out, or you might get what you wish for and regret it. You will have the good old days with all of these painful teeth work, let's say, and all of the other amenities that we have today. Fast cars, jet airplanes. The old timers we're talking about didn't have any of that stuff.
But they carved their own lives out anyways, made the best of what they had.
And they were probably just as happy as we are today.
The more things change, the less things really change, right?
Right, yeah.
So over on this wall, these were all donated to us by the Legion after they got shut down. Legions Canada cut off funding to a lot of rural legions during the COVID period. So the ones on the top here are actually made by the Canadian Fallen Heroes Foundation, which is run by a local man. Very nice guy. He takes great pride in what he does. So he actually does the research, gets in contact with the families to create these plaques, just memorializing the people that gave their lives in World War II.
Okay, so these are World War II soldiers.
Now on that topic, we have this photo down here, which is of the Canadian Army's, I believe, Mechanized Corps doing winter training in Barkerville in 1945.
Oh, is that right? 1945. Military exercises.
That's a piece of history you won't hear anywhere else. So over here, this giant quilt was actually a fundraiser done by the Caribou Gold Quartz Hospital, where you would pay a certain amount of money if your child was born in that hospital before 1952, and then they would embroider your child's name on here. So I get a lot of visitors in with family ties that are just looking for their ancestors' names on here, and it's always an amazing source of joy for them.
Isn't that interesting? That quilt is a piece of history, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it just beautifully preserved almost 80 years later?
Okay, we'll go out of the room and into another area.
So in this room here, all of the items there were typical of a household in the 1930s and 40s. So you'll see the green depression glass in there, and of course the oven gloves that the mannequin is wearing, among other things. Now, in that room, you notice just how little things have actually changed. A waffle maker is still a waffle maker. A vacuum cleaner looks the same as it did back then. The radiators, the only change they've made is that they aren't made of cast iron anymore. So,
okay,
truly, to go back to before, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Okay, we'll swing into another room.
And now, This is not something that every visitor will get to see, but this building was actually the former Island Mountain Mines Company office. So in here is our broom closet now, but at one point they used to store the gold in here.
In this vault.
This very vault, you'll notice it's heavily reinforced with concrete. And
Okay.
if you stick your arm in there, you'll notice a big temperature difference as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's just a natural temperature difference.
Yep, that's a
Buried
good
into the earth.
half foot of concrete or whatever.
Okay. Good.
So,
That is the vault that held the fortune.
before you go here, I'll give you one last story of this painting of a man named 40 Below, who, among other things, was a laborer, miner, and moonshiner. So the stories go that back in the day, Mr. Lee Chong here used to brag that his alcohol would stay good at 40 below temperatures.
Okay.
So one day
It must have
somebody...
been strong stuff.
That's what he claimed. Now, somebody decided to put his claims to the test one day, so they grabbed a bottle of rum he sold them, left it outside. Turns out the guy used to just buy rum bottles and fill them with water.
Oh.
So that about wraps up our tour here. I mean, we have a wealth of information in all of our photos here, and if I were to go over every one of them, we'd be here for 5 hours easily.
Yeah.
One of the joys of working with the 1930s and 40s is that so much of the history has physical documentation like this.
Well, you know, sometimes people overlook a local museum because it is a local museum, and really it's the local museum that often has the stories and the materials that generate those stories.
Oh, I mean, this museum, it's run by the community for the community, right? So much of my job is just meeting people, talking to them, getting their stories. And even if I'm not able to write them down, preserve them as well as I'd like to,
Right.
I still get to share them.
Fascinating work, really. Okay, listen, thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Damon. Damon is the kind of employee you want. A guy who does more than just the job. He's dedicated to the job. Let's ride her out with a little music. There is real talent in this North Country. And these were some of the other entertainers.
Sweet pea, apple of my eye. I don't know when, I don't know why. You're the only reason I keep on coming home.
And we are headed home too. If you hit the subscribe button, that'll tell you when we'll be back with more videos on the internet. Until then, adios for now. To find more of my videos, just Google Don Barnett 5090. Click my name, click the word playlists in the middle of the page, and scroll down. Each playlist contains several travel videos.